The absolute greatest lie you tell yourself every single morning is that the economy is the reason you are broke. The financial elite desperately want you to blame inflation, the government, and the housing market because it keeps you perfectly distracted from the real parasite, your own fragile ego. Right now, there is a very narrow window of opportunity to build actual wealth, and your biological obsession with looking successful to strangers is permanently locking you out of the game. If you are financing a middle-class lifestyle just to defend a pathetic corporate title, you are voluntarily living like a loser while pretending to be a winner. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to mathematically destroy the illusion of your fake status. If you refuse to face this clinical breakdown today and close this video to protect your pride, do not ever complain about being trapped again. It is no longer the system's fault. It is entirely your own. Society programmed you with a fundamental lie about what success actually looks like. They told you to get an expensive university degree, climb the corporate ladder, secure a management title, and buy a massive house in a premium neighborhood. You followed the script perfectly. You look at your paycheck and you feel a massive sense of pride. You believe that because you consume premium products and order expensive takeout, you are fundamentally better than the previous generation. You are entirely blind to the math. From a clinical standpoint, you are financially weaker than a peasant from 100 years ago. You do not own any cash-flowing assets. You do not own equity. You are drowning in consumer debt, and your survival is entirely dependent on a corporate entity feeding you a predictable paycheck every 2 weeks. You are not wealthy. You are a premium slave living in a heavily decorated financial zoo. The system allows you to buy comfortable things so you never realize you are living in a cage. How does your middle-class ego keep you broke? When you look at the financial trajectory of the educated middle class, you see a specific, devastating psychological pattern. The single most expensive liability in the human body is your fragile ego. It costs you millions of dollars over your lifetime. If you do not learn to ruthlessly execute your own ego today, the financial system will use it to bankrupt you permanently. The trap snaps shut the absolute moment you achieve a slight increase in your income. You transition from making $60,000 a year to $150,000 a year. Instead of using that massive new surplus of capital to aggressively buy your freedom and purchase liquid assets, your brain betrays you. Your ego demands an immediate lifestyle upgrade. You believe you have suffered enough in the corporate maze, and now you are biologically owed a luxury existence. You lease the luxury German vehicle. You sign a 30-year mortgage for a house with extra bedrooms you will never even use. You buy the expensive designer watch. You increase your operational lifestyle costs in direct, parallel proportion to your new income. You make $150,000, but your new synthetic lifestyle requires $145,000 just to maintain the facade. Mathematically, your actual net worth is identical to a teenager working at a local fast food restaurant. You have absolutely zero margin for error. You have not built wealth. You have simply built a much more expensive prison. And the cruelest part of this equation is that you built it voluntarily. You locked the heavy red shackles onto your own ankles and threw the green key into the trash. Also, you could wear a cheap paper crown. You cannot leave the corporate job you actively hate because you have a massive monthly burn rate just to look successful to strangers in traffic who do not care about you. What is the dark psychology of status signaling? Pause and write this down right now, because this is the exact mechanism destroying your future. Your brain biologically prioritizes tribal validation over mathematical freedom. To understand why incredibly intelligent, highly educated people commit financial suicide, you have to look at evolutionary biology. 10,000 years ago, human beings lived in tribes of about 150 people. In that primitive environment, your perceived status within the tribe dictated your physical survival. If you were at the bottom of the social hierarchy, you did not get access to food, you did not get shelter, and you did not survive the winter. The human brain evolved a hypersensitive, paranoid radar for social status. Fast forward to the modern economy, and your brain is still running that exact same primitive software. But instead of hunting large animals to prove your worth, you buy depreciating liabilities. Corporate marketers and Wall Street bankers understand your evolutionary biology infinitely better than you do. They know your primitive amygdala is terrified of looking poor, because historically, looking poor meant getting kicked out of the tribe and dying. So the system engineered synthetic status. They convinced your primitive brain that a piece of plastic with a luxury logo on it proves your dominance to the tribe. When you finance a $90,000 car on a $100,000 salary, you are not buying transportation. You are buying an incredibly expensive psychological shield to hide your deep insecurities. The financial elite do not play this game. They understand that true wealth is completely silent and debt is incredibly loud. While the middle class bleeds their net worth dry to buy fake status, The 1% wear plain clothes, drive reliable cars, and quietly hoard equity. They do not need to signal their value to the tribe because they mathematically own the ground the tribe is standing on. Why is your victim mentality a financial trap? Even if you understand the biological trap of status signaling, there is an even darker psychological barrier preventing you from escaping. It is the ultimate defense mechanism of a loser, cognitive dissonance. Subconsciously, your brain is terrified of true accountability because radical accountability destroys your excuses. If you look at the life of the chronically broke, middle-class individual, their entire identity is wrapped up in victimhood. They bond with their coworkers by complaining about their manager. They bond with their friends by complaining about the macroeconomy, inflation, and the unfairness of the elite class. Complaining is their primary social currency. When you blame the external world for your poverty, your fragile ego is perfectly safe. It is not your fault that you have zero assets. It is the government's fault. It is the Federal Reserve's fault. By maintaining the identity of a helpless victim, you never have to face the humiliating reality of your own behavioral failures. If you actually took radical, dictatorial ownership of your financial life today, you would have to admit a terrifying truth. You are broke entirely because of the decisions you made. You are broke because you spent thousands of hours watching glowing screens instead of learning high-income skills. You are broke because you bought things you could not afford to impress people who secretly want you to fail. Human ego cannot survive that level of extreme accountability. It will do absolutely anything to protect itself from that pain. So your brain actively sabotages you. When you try to save money, your brain triggers anxiety, convincing you that you deserve a luxury treat to soothe your stress. It is better for your ego to never try and blame the system than to try with absolute effort and fail. The victim identity is a biological cage you lock yourself inside. What is the exact cost of faking success today? Every single day you delay killing your ego and stepping out of this matrix, the open market mercilessly punishes you. The mathematical cost of faking success today is absolutely devastating to your long-term sovereignty. While you are sitting in traffic, worrying about toxic office politics, and defending your pathetic corporate title, real macroeconomic inflation is secretly destroying your purchasing power. The fiat currency you are bleeding your life force to acquire is losing its value by the second. Your savings account is melting like a block of ice in the sun. If you do not execute a sovereign financial protocol today, you will be forced to work until you are 75 years old. You will rely on a broken, mathematically insolvent government pension system that will absolutely not exist when you actually need it. You are running out of time. The rules of capital have permanently changed. Artificial intelligence and aggressive corporate consolidation are wiping out the exact middle management jobs that give you your fake status. The middle class is being systematically erased from the global economy. You either become an owner of assets or you become completely obsolete. There's no longer a safe middle ground. If you rely on a single source of income that requires your constant physical presence, you are exactly one medical emergency or one corporate layoff away from total financial ruin. You are operating with a single point of failure, and the math guarantees it will eventually break. How do the 1% murder their ego to build wealth? The 1%, the actual architects of the global financial system, completely reject this paradigm. They do not increase their spending when they get a surge of capital. They operate on a clinical protocol that requires the absolute destruction of their own ego. When an elite operator makes a jump in income, they make a cold, logical decision. They realize they were surviving perfectly fine on the lower amount, so they intentionally cap their lifestyle. Their spending line goes completely flat. It stops rising forever. Meanwhile, their income line keeps drifting upward. The gap between those two lines becomes a massive, widening wedge of pure liquid capital. They artificially create extreme scarcity in their daily lives to ensure massive, untouchable abundance in their net worth. It is psychological warfare against their own worst impulses. They have ruthlessly murdered their middle-class ego. They do not care if they look poor in the short term, because their absolute only objective is to be completely untouchable in the long term. Rewind this next part if you need to, because this is the mind shift that creates empires. They endure the severe psychological discomfort of living far below their means to hoard the ammunition of liquid capital. They do not care what their neighbors think of their 10-year-old vehicle. They do not complain about the macroeconomic environment because they know complaining is the mating call of a loser. They take absolute, extreme ownership of everything. By accepting the blame for their failures, they retain the ultimate power to change their reality. You have a binary choice right now. You can close this video, go back to your corporate job tomorrow, complain about the economy, and remain a highly profitable victim of a system designed to extract your life force. Or you can wake up. You can stop financing fake status. You can ruthlessly murder your ego, freeze your lifestyle, and redirect every single dollar of your surplus into buying your own absolute freedom. You must transition from the mindset of a reactive consumer who begs for validation to the mindset of a sovereign owner who builds equity. The trap of the middle-class ego is only inescapable if you willingly refuse to see the iron bars of the cage. Hit the subscribe button as your absolute declaration of sovereignty. Check the links in the description to access the exact defensive toolkits the elite use to structure their capital. Master the math, execute your ego, or be played by the system forever. See you in the next protocol.